Hello YouTube, we are back on the live server. Season 11 preseason just dropped, and we are excited to go over all the runes, all the items that you need to get on your way for Season 11. This is going to be a long video. It's going to be about an hour, I would think. We're going to go over everything. You know, this is going to be our first impressions guide to TEEMO, the Menko way. Last season was great. I peaked Challenger a couple times. We ended Grandmaster 475, respectable. The Honor level 5, it's awesome. We're excited. We're happy. Season 10 ruled. Now on to Season 11. Let's boogie. We're going to be going over runes first, okay? So the runes have not changed at all. The runes have not changed. Nothing has changed in the rune pages. There's a couple minor nerfs and buffs, but for the most part, nothing's really changed. But people ask me all the time about runes and everything, so I'm willing to go over them with you. Yeah. So there is going to be 4 major rune pages. All right. You have Press the Attack, where you'll be using Press the Attack when you reverse tanks and bruisers. There will be Grasp of the Undying, where Grasp of the Undying will be used versus really crappy lanes that are hard to play against and that are miserable, where you can't survive unless you have Grasp. Electrocute is your most well-rounded rune page, where it's going to be used in any lane you want, and it has a lot of preference to it. And then Aery will be good against mages, ADCs, or lanes that you could win early game. It's a very early game dominant rune. So we're going to go over those pages right now. We'll start with the runes. We're going to start with Aery. So Aery is my favorite page. We'll slap this filled together, fill it out with y'all. Aery is going to be my favorite page, and we will go over each rune slot so y'all know which to go. Okay? So Aery, again, is going to be versus mages / ADCs / easy lanes. That's when I use Aery, okay? Boom. Now, we're going to go over each slot. So you're going to notice every rune page is going to have this secondary in it, right? Every rune page is going to have Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter in it. This is because TEEMO has no sustain in his kit whatsoever, and you need the sustain to stay alive, to do your thing, you know? Every page is going to have this. Also, every page will have these secondary slots. Attack speed, AP, armor. I think it's very important to go for this. You need the attack speed because for less hitting and for early trades, it's amazing. Way better than the AP. In the secondary slot, I usually go AP. You can go defensive if you feel like you need it. But it's not necessary. So AP secondary is usually. And then the third slot, you're going to match on your opponent. If you're versus an AP laner, you go magic resist. If you're versus an AD laner, you go armor. Okay? So this is going to be constant. Every page is going to have this whole secondary. It's going to be the same exact thing. These are my must-haves for TEEMO. Now, I do want to answer a question really quick. So our 4 rune pages, Electrocute, Aery, Grasp, and Press the Attack. You notice those are my 4 pages. If you notice, you know, Lethal Tempo isn't in there. You notice Glacial Augment's not in there. Phase Rush. You know, Dark Harvest. These are my 4 pages. Every other page is not good in my opinion. Every other page does not compare. Lethal Tempo is worse than Press the Attack. Dark Harvest is worse than Electrocute. You know, Phase Rush is not optimal. You notice I'm not bringing up these other pages because they all just are not nearly as good. These other root pages are just not nearly as good. They don't come close for their reasons. So I'm not going to go over them. You can argue all day, you know, oh, Glacial Augment is good because this, and this. Well, it's not going to be as good as the 4 pages that I just listed. So again, not going to bother going over those. They're just not nearly as good in which way that you can deem. So those are the pages I'm not going to be using. So the 4 pages I'm using, we're going to start with Aery. So again, Aery is good versus mages, ADCs, and lanes that you could win. And this is for TEEMO Top. So filling out the page, it's very important you pay attention to every rune slot. Versus mages, you're going to go Nullifying Orb. Every time. This is going to keep you alive. Versus non-mages, you'll go Mana Flow Band for the extra mana. Nimbus Cloak, not good. This rune slot, Absolute Focus is always going to be the pick because it is the best early game, especially level 1. Transcendence is actually got changed to where it's not good for TEEMO. Used to be a late game room, now it's just not good with the new basic ability cooldown. And now this last slot's very important. I go Scorch in a lane that I could win. If I can't win the lane, I go Gathering Storm. So, for example, versus Rise, your page will look like this. But if you're versus like a Vein Top, your page will look like this. And you can easily, beat the Vein Top with this page. So all this stuff matters. That's going to be my first page in Aery. Save that puppy. And now we're going to go to Electrocute. Electrocute is going to be your most flexible page. Again, every page you're going to have Taste of Blood, Ravenous Hunter, so we fill that out really quick. Now the reason why this page is great is because the secondary, you can totally switch it up to what you want. That's the best thing about Electrocute. Electrocute is good in damn near every lane because it's very easy to proc that auto Q auto. So Electrocute is very, very good in damn near every lane. Auto Q auto is very easy to proc with it. Only lanes that you can't go Electrocute in would be versus mages, and you would take Aery. But this page is great in every lane. And the reason why this page is great is because the secondary is so flexible because you already have your Taste of Blood, Ravenous Hunter. So versus a tankier champ, something like this would be amazing for the attack speed for more autos. Versus a squishier champ, something like this would be amazing for more AP, Or if you want to scale, you can Gathering Storm. Versus maybe a lane that could kill you, something like this would be great, bone plating. So if you want, you can even go biscuits and boots, So this is going to be the best rune page for the TEEMO top. This is the most flexible. This is the most used rune page, I think, and Electrocute is definitely something people sleep on. Just for, this example, this is my most used page with it for the attack speed for a good early game. So Electrocute, but like I said, it's the most flexible. Boom, boom, there you go. Now, Press the Attack is going to be right here. Press the Attack is going to be a very good rune page. It's going to be versus tanks and tanks only. Okay? Tanks and tanks only. And again, this is all for TEEMO top. For any other roles, we'll do it at a different time. This is just for TEEMO top. So, versus tanks, this will be the best page. Press the Attack is known for shredding tanks. Press the Attack is known for putting in work versus tanks. And that's where its role comes in. Press the Attack won't be good versus a Rise. Press the Attack won't be good versus, whatever champion you cannot get the 3 autos on. The 3 autos is very important. So this is going to be versus tanks exclusively. My lucky number is 2. Like if they have like 2 or 3 tanks on their team, this is amazing. If they don't, I wouldn't take it. If they have an orange top, but everybody else is squishy, I don't think this page will be good. So this is going to be exclusively for tanks. So yeah, and now with the rest of the page, we used to go Presence of Mind, but it got nerfed to the ground. It's not good anymore. So now Triumph will be the play. And then you would go Legend Alacrity. Just because the other slots are not any good. You don't need Tenacity, you don't need Lifesteal. And this last slot, most oftentimes, is Coup de Grace. Cutdown is now going to be good versus tanks. So if you're versus tanks in this page, actually, yeah, Cutdown is going to be the best. So Cutdown used to not be good because Leandra's Anguish didn't give it gave health, but now that it doesn't give health, Cutdown probably is the play. So this is going to be the play versus tanks. It used to be Coup de Grace. I had a slight misstep, but now, especially with Anguish not giving health, it's definitely Cutdown for sure. So this is going to be versus tanks. It's your third page. And now we have Grass. This is going to be the rune page to take versus miserable lanes. And what that means is like, if you think of a lane that is unlaneable. So some people think Malphite, right? If you're versus a Malphite, you can't lane, he just pounds you with Qs, you would go Grasp. Any lane that you think is impossible to play into, Grasp is the money. I don't want you overusing Grasp. It's not that good, but it's really good for surviving lane. And that's because of these runes over here. It's mostly the second trait. If you go second win and you combine it with the Doran Shield, Malphite's never going to kill you. If you take Bone Plating versus Camille, you're going to be a whole lot tankier. She's not going to be able to one-shot you. Overgrowth helps with the extra health too, but this Grass, again, is going to be for just those hard, impossible lanes. And yeah, and that's the role. I don't want you to be overusing this, So yeah, that's going to be the 4 rune pages. Second Wind and Bone Plating, you need to make sure you switch it up based on your matchup. Demolish is the only rune page in this tree because the other 2 kind of stink. Same with Overgrowth. So your 4 pages we just went over for top lane. That was going to be Aery. Aery is going to be versus mages or easy lanes. Electrocute is going to be good in damn near every lane. Press the attack versus tanks, and grass versus hard lanes. And that was for TEEMO top. That was for TEEMO in the top lane. Okay. Now we're going to go over TEEMO jungle. So TEEMO jungle, there's actually only going to be one rune page this season. So last season I used to do Hail Blades and Press the Attack. This season I am doing just Press the Attack. So this is going to be my TEEMO jungle page. And it's going to be the same thing as top lane pretty much. Except we're not going to go Taste of Blood, we're going to go Eyeball. And this is because we don't need to sustain. It doesn't work for jungle camps. So we're going to go Eyeball instead. And this is going to be my only page for TEEMO jungle. And the reason why it's going to be Press the Attack only now is because out of the jungle, we'll get more into this on the items, but TEEMO's jungle clear actually got nerfed. With the removal of Hunter's Machete, you clear very slow now. So you have to build Gnasher's Tooth to clear faster. Gnasher's Tooth works incredibly well with Press the Attack, and it kind of brings it all together to where TEEMO jungle is now going to be, you know, like the auto-attacking full damage, but you know, you get some auto attacks off and the works. It's not going to be like a one-shot shroom build. So between always going Gnashers, Press the Attack will be the play now, regardless of tanks or bruisers or anything. Cut down for TEEMO jungle. You're going to be going cut down if they have a couple bruisers and tanks. If they don't, you can go coup de grace. I think most of the times we'll be going cut down, but always something to look forward to. And this is my only TEEMO jungle page. My one TEEMO jungle page, okay? Yeah. And now TEEMO mid, just real quickly, I'm just doing all the roles. TEEMO top is going to be the most advanced, right? We need 4 pages for top. You really have to think about them. TEEMO jungle, it's just 1 page. For TEEMO mid, it's only going to be 1 page, okay? For TEEMO mid, it's only 1 page. It's the Electrocute page we talked about. The secondary part, again, very flexible, but most of the time, it's going to be something like this for early game in the mid. And this is going to be TEEMO mid because with TEEMO mid, you're not playing for lane. So TEEMO top lane, we have all those pages because we need to win lane. But TEEMO mid, your matchups, there aren't any matchups really that you win. TEEMO mid is a lot of roaming. It's a lot of shove the lane, make roams. Help your jungler roam bottom, roam top. You're not going to be solo killing Xerath and Kiana and all these champions. So you're really just looking to roam more. And that's where Electrocute comes in handy. Electrocute is amazing with that. So this is going to be the TEEMO mid page. Only 1 page. And TEEMO support, I'm not going to do TEEMO ADC. I don't recommend playing TEEMO ADC. I think it sucks. I think it's barely playable if you're a god. I would not recommend playing TEEMO ADC. But TEEMO support's not bad. And TEEMO support, I'm going to give you all 2 pages actually. I'm going to give you all 2 pages for TEEMO support. The first page is your most common page. It's going to be comment. So this is going to be the most common page for TEEMO support. It's going to be you Q max and you sit in a bush and you pop them. You spam Q max. This gives you the most damage on your Q. Now, if you realize I did comment instead of Aery, because if you go Aery as TEEMO support, it will come back right to where you are in the bush. We can't have that. Comment's going to be better. And this is very similar to the pages early. So this is your most normal TEEMO support page. Where the other TEEMO support page is my favorite. It's a little more experimental. It's going to be this right here, to where you pop out of the bush. This is if you're playing a lot more aggressive and if you're maxing E. So the first TEEMO support page is Comet. It's for Qmax. The second TEEMO support page is for Emax with Hail Blades. So this page is going to be for the much more aggressive TEEMO. And if you're playing too aggressive, if you know you could win lane, right? If you're versus like a Kog'Maw and a Morgana, right? You can play aggressive. You pop out of the bush, you rail them 3 times with your Emax with Hail Blades. You do a lot of damage, you go back in the bush. So for TEEMO support, these 2 pages, you know, you have your comment right here, where it's just your Q maxing, right? This is a Q max page. You Q, you run away. You Q, you run away. You Q auto. Play aggressive, play passive, play however you like. This page is always going to be good. Then Hail Blades is going to be your aggressive play, where you are E-maxing. You're in that bush. You pop out. You shit on them. The works. So just a quick recap of all those pages, right? I'm going to do a little quicker. TEEMO top lane. You have Press the Attack versus tanks. You have Electrocute versus whatever you want. You have Aery versus mages, ADCs, or lanes that you could win, and you have grass for those miserable lanes. For TEEMO jungle, you have press the attack only. For TEEMO support, you have Comet and Hail Blades, and that are your rune pages for Season 11. That is, yeah, those are your rune pages for TEEMO for Season 11. I don't recommend ADC, so we're not going to go over it, and that should help you a bit. Tune into the stream for more in-depth answers and questions on them. That's pretty much the basic knowledge. Just try and think very situational about your pages. And come by the stream if you need more in-depth answers. My paid coaching has a spreadsheet. That's also awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics. That's the overview. That will get you far. If you need more in-depth for everything, come by the stream. I have spreadsheets of my coachings in the works. But for overall, that's going to be the runes. And now this is where we're going to get into all the good stuff. The items. The items. Look at that. The items. Drum roll, please. Okay, awesome. Let's get into the items. So I have already come up with these little things, but don't pay attention to this for now. I want to go over what items got changed, what items are new, which items are old, which items are good, which items are bad. Okay. So we're going to start with the most popular, and we'll work our way down. So Leandra's Anguish is going to be the most popular. This used to be Leandra's Torment. Old Leandra's Torment gave AP, it gave health, and it gave this effect to where you did more damage versus slowed target. Now Leandra's Anguish, it gives AP, it gives mana instead of health, and it gives CDR, which is haste. And the new effect is actually better because it gives you the burn, but it also gives you shredding of the magic resist. So this is the best item by far on TEEMO. If you're not running this as your mythic, you're doing it wrong. It got buffed in every way. It is amazing. So Anguish, awesome. Now, on that topic of the other mythic items, we have Riftmaker. So I want to tell you why Riftmaker is not as good. The stats are very similar. This gives AP, health, haste. It gives Omnivamp, which seems good, but remember, you can get Omnivamp for free with Ravenous Hunter, so you don't need an item for it. You don't have any mana on this, which isn't a big deal, but it matters. You have a little bit of health instead. So the reason why I'm not recommending this item is because I don't think the damage on it, 15% true damage, I don't think it comes close to the burn damage that Leandra's Anguish give. So I don't recommend that. And these other ones are just not in the same ball game. The Night Harvester, it gives AP, health, and haste, and it gives a little extra damage and movement speed. Again, if you look at this item alone, it looks cute, right? But if you look at this item and compare it to Anguish, it doesn't nearly do as much as what Anguish does. So Harvester and also the other item, Ludens, these items just are not in the same ball game. These items just don't compare to Anguish, right? They're cute. They do damage. They do damage. They give you a little bit of movement speed, but that doesn't compare to Anguish. So for your mythic item, it's got to be Leandra's Anguish only. Now let's go over the items that have been changed or tweaked or anything. So Gnasher's Tooth is actually a whole lot better. So Gnasher's Tooth used to be AP, CDR. Gnasher's Tooth used to be AP, CDR, and an on-hit effect. Now it's just more AP, no CDR. Of course, it has the attack speed, but it's more AP, no CDR, and the on-hit effect actually does more now. It used to be 15 plus 15% AP. Now it's 15 plus 25% of AP, and you get more AP. So this is going to be better. This is going to be really, really good. It's amazing, and Gnasher's Tooth overall got buffed. So Gnasher's Tooth, keep an eye out for that. Void Staff got changed, but ever so slightly. It barely got changed, not worth really commenting on. Zanya's is now better. It got less AP, but it is now 500 gold cheaper. So Zanya's is about the same item, just a little bit better. Awesome. Morel Namicon, it got changed. It's very similar, but just I think it's pretty similar. Now instead, so it went from being 3,000 gold and it gave you the AP, health, and magic pen. Now it's 2,500 gold, so again cheaper, and it has no magic pen. But you used to buy Morellos for the Grievous Wounds. You don't buy Morellos for all the other work. So now it's cheaper with no Magic Pen, but it gives you Grievous Wounds still. So it's pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. Awesome. Lichbane is slightly worse because it has no CDR. You still get movement speed. So it has AP, it has movement speed, and it has the proc, but it has no CDR. So I think Lichbane is going to be slightly worse, but only changed a little bit. Cosmic Drive is going to be a bait of an item. This item seems great, but it does not compare to Gnasher's Tooth or any of the other items. You know, if you look at this item, it's not for TEEMO. You don't really need the movement speed. You don't really need whatever else it offers. It's a luxury item that isn't as good. Now, Demonic Embrace is going to be the most talked about item for TEEMO. Demonic Embrace is going to be the most talked about item for TEEMO. It's super juiced with Anguish. It gives a nice little 1-2 punch. It gives the AP, health, and it gives the Azakana Gaze. I hope I'm saying that right. It's going to be doing AP damage. It's going to burn for I believe 6% of their max health over 4 seconds. The armor and MR are like a luxury stat. Like, it's cute. You don't really buy this item for the armor and MR. It does help in lane a lot. But overall, this item combined with Anguish is amazing. It's going to be a nice 1-2 punch. So these new items, a lot are similar. Deathcap's also very similar. So these items are going to be very similar for most of them. But the items that come out ahead are going to be Gnasher's, Embrace, and Anguish for sure. 100%. So, and this is just for TEEMO. I'm not going to go over any AD items. I think they're kind of troll. I'm not going to go over, you know, all the, just AP items. So that's that. And now, if we're putting these builds together, so let's go over the TEEMO top build. Dark Seal. So Dark Seal versus Doran's Ring. Dark Seal versus Doran's Ring. Dark Seal used to be very bad. It used to only give 10 AP instead of 15. Now it gives 15 AP, the full amount that Doran's Ring gets. So now if you look at these two items, just look at that top health, the blue text. It is very similar. You get 30 less health, but that's it. Now, Doran's Ring, you still get the focus and the siphon effects. But to me, that's not a big deal. I'd rather have the chance to go for that big AP with the glories. So Dark Seal is now my starting item. Dark Seal is going to be better than Doran's Ring now, 100%. You get the refill pot. Awesome, amazing. You're slightly weaker in the early game, but it should pay big dividends. So I start Dark Seal now. Now, here's going to be my build. I laid it out for you. This is going to be a little advanced, but it's nothing too crazy. So, the way Anguish works. Leandra's Anguish is a great item, but it kind of stinks for lane now. It's not really good in laning phase. It doesn't offer any health or anything. And if you look at the components are very weak in laning. So I never go Leandra's Anguish first item. I'm going to be going for Leandra's Anguish second. And that's because the components are weak. And that is because it's just it's a great item, but it's not good for early game. You don't need the mana early, and the components are not that good early. So this is always going to be my second item. So if you look at my first item, it's going to be Gnasher's Tooth or Demonic Embrace. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Versus attack damage lanes, thinking Fiora or Riven and whatnot, you always go Boots first. So Boots is always going to be first. So we go Dark Seal into Boots because the move speed's great. Versus an AD lane, you're going to go Arm Guard first. Because you need, with TEEMO in lane, you need some sort of tankiness. You need some sort of stuff that will keep you alive for those trades and those combos. I think that's where Seeker's Arm Guard is amazing versus AD lanes. So this item is an insta-buy versus Riven, Fiora, any AD laner. You go Arm Guard first, and that is your tank item. 100% of the time. And then you would go for Gnasher's because this item is amazing. And then Anguish. This is like your core build versus an AD laner. So you have your one defensive item, Arm Guard, to keep you alive. And then Gnasher's and Anguish. Versus AP lanes, it gets a little different now. Gets a little different. Because you do need that one tanky item. And you can't go Arm Guard versus AP laners. So versus AP laners, I'm going to be going Demonic Embrace. So versus AD laners, you have the Arm Guard. You're going to get 45 armor from it. Combined with your base health, you're tanky. But versus AP, you're going to be going Giant Spelt first, and then you're going to go Demonic Embrace and Anguish. Now, we're not going to have the Nashers, but Demonic Embrace is just as good as an item, and this will help you versus those mages. So, like I said, if you look at the small differences, you always need that one defensive item right here. Versus AD, it's Arm Guard, no brainer. Versus AP, you don't really have a magic resist item, so we're going to settle for the Giant Spelt. And then Demonic Embrace and Anguish, Nashers and Anguish. This is going to be the early game, the core, you know. One defensive item into your 1-2 punch. Boom, boom. Now, versus tanks, you don't need any defensive stats. So again, I strongly advise one defensive item for AD and AP, right? So Arm Guard versus AD, Giant Spell versus AP. That's your one defensive item to keep you alive. But tanks are a very non-threatening lane. Tanks are not threatening. You don't need a defensive item if you're versus an Ornn or a Mundo, right? You don't need a defensive item versus tanks. They're just beef necks that you just kind of just hit around, and you know they can kill you, but having a defensive item isn't going to help versus a tank. They're not as threatening. So versus tanks, you just don't go any defensive items and you go Nashor's Anguish. You have your 1-2 punch there. Now I failed to, let me go slap this on there. I always go Sorks every game. Sork boots, with boots you build at your own discretion. Build whenever you feel like you have the gold for it, whenever you're comfortable. Please note that I only go Sork boots. I think Berserkers are bad on TEEMO. I think the attack speed is not needed. Always Sork boots. So besides that little mishap, like I said, we have our lanes here. So it's going to be versus AD, again, one more time. You go Boots, you go Arm Guard, build Sorks whenever convenient, and you go Nashor's Anguish, your 1-2 punch. Versus AP, we're going to go Boots, Giant Spelt, build Sorks whenever convenient, you go Embrace and Anguish. And again, we're not going Nashor's versus AP because no way you can land the autos off. Versus tanks, it's no defensive items. And now here is going to be the tricky part and the very hard part. This is going to be your situational items. So every game, you're either going to go Nashor's and Anguish or Demonic Embrace and Anguish. This is where you will build your situational items. All these have their own purpose. I'm going to go over each of them. So I have Nashor's and Embrace in here because these items, you know, if you build Nashor's, you still should be thinking about building Embrace as a situational item. I'm going to go over all of them. So Embrace is going to be good if you built Nashor's already. Embrace is going to be a great item regardless. It does more damage, gives you AP health, it gives you the work. So this item is going to be good damn near every game, right? So if you have these two items right here, Nashor's Anguish, you can build Embrace just because it's effing good, right? And awesome, wonderful. You just have to determine, is it better than the other items? So you're gonna, Morello is best when you need the Grievous Wounds. They have three or more healing champs. Morello's is gonna be the best. So you ask yourself, is Demonic Embrace better than Morello this game? Answer is yes, go ahead and build it, you know? Slap it in, and if the answer is no, then Morello will be better. Void Staff is going to be best if they have an amount of magic resist. Usually I like to think of it as like 3 champs with more than 40. Void Staff's amazing. Zanya's is going to be best. Again, Zanya's got buffed. It's so cheap now. Zanya's will be best if you feel like you need that survivability. Deathcap's only going to be best if you feel like you have nothing else to build, right? So Deathcap is the last item on TEEMO because it's only good if you feel like you don't have to build anything else. So if you don't need Grievous Wounds, if you don't need Magic Pen, if you don't need Zanya's, if you don't need Embrace, you would go Deathcap. TEEMO's ratios are pretty bad. TEEMO's AP ratios are bad. So Deathcap is only like a last item. So this is situational. These are going to be, you have to ask yourself this every time, every build, you're going to have to ask yourself these questions. So if we just do like a mock example, right? So say I'm versus an Ornn top and they have plenty of tanks on the team. This is my build, right? I would ask myself, okay, I'm versus a lot of tanks. So now I would go Void Staff, right? So I'm versus a shit ton of tanks. I need Void Staff. Awesome. After this, I ask myself, do they have a lot of healing? Maybe the answer is no. Do I need a Zanya's? I don't need a Zanya's yet. I already have a Nashor's Tooth. Then I would go Demonic Embrace. Then I ask myself the same question. Do I need Grievous Wounds? Not really. Do I need survivability? No. Then I would go Deathcap, and there's my build. And you have to always look at these situational items. Always ask yourself, what is the best item for this given game? And the answer might be the same 2 games in a row, might not be. So that is how to build TEEMO Top. I'm going to go over it one more time just so you all have the gist of it. Your starting item is going to be Dark Seal with refillable. And then you're going to look at this. If you're versus an AD laner, you're going to go boots and arm guard. If you're versus an AP laner, you're going to go boots and giant spells. And this will give you the survivability you need for lane. Without these items, you're going to get one shot. That's not good. And now, so if you're versus AD, you're going to be going Nashers because Nashers is amazing right now. And generally versus an AD lane, you're going to be able to auto a lot. And then you go Nashor's Anguish because this item's just broken. If you're versus an AP, you go Embrace and not Nashor's Tooth because you cannot auto a lot. Then you would go Anguish. And for tanks, you just don't build a defensive item. After that, and of course you build Sork Shoes whenever it's convenient. After that, you would go over your situational items here. And that is going to be TEEMO top build. Now, honestly, you're going to be doing the same thing for mid. So if you're playing mid lane, this is the same thing for mid. You're going to be versus a lot more AP lanes, so this is going to be your general build. This will be the same thing for mid lane. So this is TEEMO top and mid. Now, TEEMO jungle is going to be slightly different. So TEEMO jungle is going to be slightly different. And that is because jungle got changed a little bit. You now... So for TEEMO jungle, you used to go machete first. Now you will be going this little puppy, Ember Knife. Ember Knife is going to be equivalent to the Red Smite. I think Red Smite is a lot better than Blue Smite. Red Smite is just going to be a lot better. I think it helps you with the 1v1. It gives you more damage. Overall, just better for you in the game. This item is pretty much the same thing as Season 10's jungle item. You get the healing, you get mana, you get a whole bunch of stuff. So this is great. Awesome. Now, this is where it gets a little different than last season. Last season we used to go Runic Echoes and then whatever. Now this season, there is no more Runic Echoes. So we go right to our item build. Now, I tested it out already. We need to be going Nashers every game because with this item, if you notice, there is no more Hunter's Machete. Hunter's Machete used to give you damage on hit on the jungle camps. That is totally taken out now. That is taken out. No more. You know, you get the burn, you get the talisman effect with the seer, but you no longer get that on-hit damage with the machete. This is very bad for TEEMO because TEEMO is an auto-attack based jungler. He clears from autos. He doesn't clear from abilities. So now what we're going to have to do every game, it is not situational. It is not an option. You need to be going Nashor's Tooth because that will help you clear in the early game. So your first buy needs to be Recurve Bow. This will help you clear. You're getting 15 damage every auto. This is going to be like the new machete. 15 damage every auto helps you clear. You obviously get boots when you can, but this is going to be very important. Every game, you're going to start Red Smite and Refillable, and you would go for the Recurve Bow and boots, and then you would go into the items. You would go Nashers, Anguish whenever you can, your boots whenever you can, and then the situational items we talked about earlier. It's just that this is very important because his clear is so bad early game. It's very important you go Recurve Bow or else you will suffer for it and you will be clearing slow as hell. So that's just a big thing to stress. And this is for jungle. So jungle is the same build as top. It's just that making sure you get that Recurve Bow ASAP. It's very important. And then you go for the Nashers, Anguish. We're going to be seeing a lot of Nashers because it is very, very broken. It is a lot of damage. Now, I don't have a list here. TEEMO support is going to be the same build as TEEMO top or mid. But realistically, TEEMO support, you don't really build anything. TEEMO support, you kind of just go Sork Shoes into Leandre's Anguish because you don't have the gold to play around with. So for TEEMO support, you're just going to go Sork Shoes into Leandre's Anguish with the support item. You don't have gold to play around with anything. After Anguish, probably just Demonic Embrace would be the build. But very similar to TEEMO top. So these are going to be the builds with the new items. Now, everybody asking questions about, Manko, why no attack damage items? Why no on-hit items, right? On-hit TEEMO and AD TEEMO have been bad for years now, and I don't see them coming back with the new items. If by God some miracle AD TEEMO is broken in a month, well then, sorry I misled y'all, but I don't see it happening. It's not worth me going over all the AD items and all the on-hit items when they're just not going to be good. This is what I feel like is going to be broken. This is what I feel like is going to be great. no need to go for the other items unless you're doing it for fun. And that is pretty much going to be everything you need to know for the initial Season 11 launch. We went over the runes, went over the builds, and yeah, good luck out there in the Rift, y'all. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.